Yes, folks, how's everyone doing? Hope everyone's doing good. Before I get into this, I just wanted to quickly say the Leeds Creator Cup. I've not fingered it yet, which is terrible of me. I keep forgetting. Link in the description. It's for a fantastic cause. If you want to come down and watch, I believe there's a bar open now. But yeah, link is in the description for all that stuff. But let's get into the video. Leeds United, the transfer window. What's going on? What's the situation? The scouting videos are going to continue, obviously. I'm just take my time with them. I want the right people. I want to make the right picks. I want to make sure the picks make sense. And it's with work now, coaching, it's took up a lot of time and energy, so they're just taking longer. But the next video will be one. I'm not sure which position yet. If you want to know position, let me know in the comments. Let me know which positions you guys want to see next. Probably the 10. Winger, we need a winger. Left back. I'm hesitant because Goodmanson's apparently very close, but we'll see about that. But anyway, into this video, and I want to talk about the transfer window, as you saw right now. Let's have a chat about the window. What's going on? Do we have to melt down? Do we have to go crazy? Or is it all right? What I want to quickly do is, obviously, as some of you know, I did a lot of work in recruitment last year for a particular club. Lower down the table, lower down the leagues. And what you learn, even in a small period of time, is just how many different kind of reasons, situations there are in a transfer. And I can tell you now, agents and what they get out of the deal is often a deal breaker for the client, which is unfortunate for the player. The agent has control of a lot of it because it's their job. Now, what I will say about Sunderland and Sadiki and Diarra, what I will say, and again, this is really important to me, for me, what we have to establish is what they are, what they have. French owner, new director of football who is French manager, a history of bringing in the last few years, young French players or French-speaking players. You know, they have that. Now, when you're competing in the Premier League and you have that, that's difficult to go against as a newly promoted side. What do we have over them for those French players that they don't have? Name, it's a big club, so it's about finding an environment that these players are going to be comfortable, that they know they can get the best out of themselves. And with a trusted kind of group of French speakers or French people, that's going to be difficult to compete against. It just is. And adding to that, if they're willing to pay more than we value them players, it's going to be even more difficult. Strategies are different. That's one thing I've learned. Every single club in the world has a different strategy of how they recruit. They've got a different way of finding players, a different way of reporting on players, different lists, different ways of putting all the players into data, into lists of data on Excel and all these platforms, different access, different needs, different intentions. Everyone is different. The structures are all different. From the way I've done it from last year, a lot of it is about what the scouts see. But the problem is, if you have one scout, for example, and they've done one report on a player, that's not a big sample size. Usually, the player you're more interested in as a club, the player that you've brought up, is the player that many scouts do reports on. And then you get a bigger pool of what the player is. Then you add that to the data. Then the manager has a look. Then they look at the financials. That's the way I've kind of seen it. There's a lot of stuff that goes in and around that, but that's kind of how it works. Scouts do the groundwork. They do the reports. They add the statistical data at the bottom of the reports or within the reports. And then other scouts do the same thing. And then you come with this pool of data and thing. And then you look for patterns within that. They've said the same thing. These scouts all said the same thing. Same strengths, same weaknesses. Right, what's the data say? Right, do we go over him? Not top. And after that, there's the financial value of it. Is he worth this? What do we believe he's worth? All them things add up to what you believe the player's worth. Will he work in the league? How old is he? Is there a sell-on value? Can he be ready straight away? How important will he be? They all come into worth. So when people are talking about worth, I'm seeing so many people, and this is just my perspective and my opinion, that are saying he's not worth this, he's not worth that. He's worth what you think he's worth to you. Like if we spent, for example, we spent 30 million on a right back, is he worth that? Not really, because we already have an established right back. It seems like overpaying too much for a position we don't need. Whereas if we're bringing in a striker and we spend 30 million on a striker, you could argue we need that. That's worth more to us as a club. What do we need? Sunderland needed midfielders. They lost Bellingham, and they don't really have the quality in there. They brought in 2 midfielders. Have they overpaid? Again, that's down to personal opinion of what you believe that player is worth. For example, and it comes down to personal as well, each scout, I believe Sadiki, having watched him, is easily a £15 million player, which is what they paid in pounds. 15 million for Sadiki, I think, is an excellent deal. I don't care necessarily what were they quoted or what we bid in. That's what we value the player. Or is it? Were we undervaluing the player thinking we could get him for cheap? We don't know what the true value of the club value a certain player because they don't tell us. No one does, obviously. If you bid £10 million for a player, you don't value him at £10 million. It's negotiations. That's how it works. You go in low, see what you can do. Sunderland valued him at what they did, and they bought him, and they went for it. Sadiki went, yeah, Premier League, French-speaking, French players. Good, let's go. So, same for Diarra. It's about personal opinion on what you think the player is worth. My personal opinion is based on nothing but what I've seen, right? I've watched him, and I think he's worth more than 15 million because I think he works in the Premier League. I think he brings a lot to a Premier League team. He's young, all that stuff. Diarra is slightly different. Again, I like the player, but do I personally believe the player is better than Sadiki? No, so I wouldn't value him higher than Sadiki. Similar age, but has played in a higher league, which means more value there, although Sadiki's played in Europe. Right? So Diarra may be slightly overpaid in my opinion, but the club don't believe that. Leeds do, Sunderland don't. About values. We might value a player at a striker at 30 million, Sunderland went, no, we're not paying 30 million for him, you can have him. It's about what you need in your team. Does that player fit that profile? How high up on that list are they? That's the value you pay. Because there's too many people saying, oh, he's not worth that. Well, he's not worth that to you. To me, he is. Everyone's different. Sunderland think he is worth that. Let's see. Right? It's a let's see. We don't know until they play, do we? Let's be honest. But that's just something I want to mention. And then so that's it. And talking about the pull again and how Sunderland I think they have this French market. Even people like Perry, the goalkeeper we're linked with, and the guys at Lyon. It's going to be so hard to compete, I'll be honest. Because there's agencies around that as well. And there's so many different things that help. We clearly have a Bundesliga pull. Again, we've got players who have proven from that league that we've brought in who have done well. We have the manager who have a lot of contacts. That might be an area we need to focus, and we are. With Metcha, and Bordeaux, 2 players from the Bundesliga. Obviously, we're looking for the upper echelons. That will come later in the window, maybe. People have different pulls in different leagues based on who's at your club, right? It's as simple as that. That's how it works. Some clubs are stronger in other leagues. If you've got all the money in the world, you're stronger in every league. That's the way it is, isn't it? But Sunderland, clearly, because of their infrastructure and what they've done and what they've got and who's there at the club, they have a very strong connection and a very trusting connection in France or French-speaking countries or French-speaking players, which is going to make it difficult for us in that market. So, what do we do? And again, this is, if we didn't know it now, I think now the recruitment team, the ownership are now realising, right, these guys want they want all this French conglomerate at their club. So this is going to be difficult. And when you bring one in, bring another in, suddenly it starts rolling then. you know, and it becomes difficult. We know this. You know, Wolfsburg, for example. Bordau said it in his interview. He said, I spoke for a long time with Gilavogi about Leeds United. That helps. It's a player who's been there telling him about the club. He says good things about the club. You'll go, all right, yeah, I'll go there. Yeah. You know, if someone speaks to McKennie, for example, he might say terrible things. The player might go, all right, yeah, I'll fancy this other club instead in Prem. They're doing all right. That's how it works. It's a people. People are people. There's money, there's motivation, but there's also people talking to people. Smaller business than you think, football. A lot of people know a lot of people in it. One thing I'll say. So it's all about that. And to be honest, it's fine. It's annoyed me that we lost Sadiki because I value him at more than what Sunderland paid. But that's me. The club didn't. Or we're led to believe they didn't. So that's fine. Let's hope they've got another target. And they will, obviously. But it's about opinion. For example, Stack, who we're linked with now. Is Stack, in my opinion, better suited to the Premier League than Sadiki? I'm not sure. I think he has qualities Sadiki doesn't have. One thing I think Stack, and I rate the player, obviously, has been in my videos, is a 6. I don't believe he's an out-and-out box-to-box 8 in the Premier League. I think he'd struggle. I do, personally. Could be wrong. Just based on what I've seen. Again, nothing else. And I've tried my best to watch a lot of this guy in the last few weeks since we're linked with him. And I think he'd struggle in that box-to-box 8 role. Whereas Sadiki, I can see as a player, really grasping it. I think he's very well balanced. Stack has a lot of good qualities. There's a difference again, and I keep saying this. We've been tall and being physical. I've scouted so many players last year that I look at, I check the thing, 6'3", oh, nice. And honestly, they're just weak. I'm tiny. And I'm thinking, if I were your height, I'd be a bully. They're so weak. There's so many players. So height's good. But now look at Sadiki, who is smaller than Stack. I actually think he's a more physical player. In the sense that I believe he tackles harder. He's a better hustler, I believe. His agility is better. He can get across quicker. You know, more kind of aggression. He's more aggressive in the sense that he'll harry people or trap people. More that kind of thing. More of a nuisance, more of a presence. Whereas Stack is quite an elegant player. Although his height is not a very built guy, as you can see if you look at pictures. He's quite slim. But what he's got is the height, the aerial dominance. You know, he can read the ball, he can get to the ball quicker because he's stronger, because he's longer. You know, he's good at driving with the ball because he uses his body well to protect it. There's different types of physicality, right? So in that sense, he works. But he's not a big, strong beast. He uses his size quite well. So this is what we're looking for now, and this is what we need to take into account for me. Because I think the different profiles and different positions. It's going to be interesting to see what we do. It is. It really is. What do we need? Now, for me, there's still so much to do, and we know this. But we need the right thing. It's really important that we get the right players. Obviously, that goes without saying. We 100% need a box-to-box 8. I think deep lane, we're decent. You know, we've got Ampadu, we've got Gruev as a backup. We have Tanaka, who's kind of not a box. He's at a kind of a box-to-box, but not in the sense that we need one, if that makes sense. He's not going to drive with it. He's not going to be physically dominant driving with a football. He's a controller in there. We've got good there, but we need that. Obviously, I think it's fair to say we all know we need a striker. And there's a lot of links to strikers. I believe we need a winger. With Solomon gone, we need a very good winger. Centre-back looking good, looking solid there. Left-back we're going to need. Maybe another, if Schmidt does leave on loan, I'm not sure if what's going to happen with Schmidt. Another backup right-back, goalkeeper. There's a lot to do. We need to get it right. So I'm not going to lose my mind at what Sunderland have done. The Sadiki one did annoy me, I'll be honest. Not because I thought Leeds should sign him, just because I really like that player. And I personally think from what I've seen of him, and if you haven't watched him, before I know people, he's not worth that. Honestly, just watch him, and I'm convinced most of you will disagree. 15 million for a 21-year-old with the qualities he's got is a good deal. What, on a 5-year deal? That's a good deal. That's nothing a year. That's nothing. That's the same we played for Bjorn. So, good deal. Diarra with 28 million up front. That's a lot in it. So, yeah. Just watch the players, whatever you can, before you really judge if they're worth something, because they could be. And I think he is. But there's more out there. We'll keep going. We need to get this right. It's really important. It's really important we get this right. Let's be ambitious as well. There's proof with this, with what Sunderland are doing, that actually, if you're in the right markets, big players will appeal to you. 100%. They will. It's the Premier League. We need to figure. I know we're a newly promoted team, but we need to remember it's the Premier League. There's a huge pull. It's a World Cup year, which I keep saying. It's important. Players want to play. That Sadiki and Diarra are probably not going to Sunderland, and we're going to be here for 10 years. They're going there for a few years, get their value up, and go to big things. I'm all right with bringing players like that. Players that want to impress, but also players that want to get in that World Cup team, then World Cup squads in the summer. So yeah, let me know what you guys think. Appreciate all the support. As usual, you're all absolute legends. I'll see you guys in a bit with a more detailed and complex video, hopefully a scouting one next. Thank you. Bye-bye.